Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
When the armies of the two families started fighting in the Demon City, the people in the Imperial City were at a loss. What's interesting is that in the Magic City, people in the war zones of the two great emperor countries keep saying that they work for the Empire, for the superiors, and they follow the highest orders. That's a fair statement and a correct procedure. As a result, the Empire bosses above were more confused than the other, almost scolding them. Whose order are you riding on? Return the Empire's highest order. Who told you to suddenly surround the Magic City? When did the Imperial decision-makers give you the order? If you mobilize your troops privately, you will mobilize your troops privately. Just for yourself. You are talking about the highest order. You really think I am a shield? You can use it to block anything, right? As long as you are really that obedient, and now the higher-ups are telling you to stop and stop fighting. Will you listen? Do you really consider yourself a loyal minister? Then your two TMs are obeying orders. Sure. Imperial capital. What on earth is going on? Why are you besieging the Demon City again? The Demon City has provoked whomever, and everyone wants to surround him. Chen Beiyuan and Leng Ruobing are crazy. Without the consent of the decision-makers, they directly mobilized the troops from the two war zones to fight directly outside the Magic City. Do they know how much impact this kind of thing will have? The two major guns of the Manhwa Empire are fighting among themselves? What on earth is going on? We have just conquered Sakura country and won the foreign war, and now there is a civil war? What do they want to do? Do they want to split the Empire's military power? This is not to make outsiders laugh at us. When the Sakura kingdom was divided up, the Chun and Lin families were so close. It was like they were in the honeymoon period. Why did they fall out in the blink of an eye? It's not just the people above who are confused. Even those people from small and medium-sized aristocratic families were now completely off guard by the operations of the Chun family and the two families, and they were unable to react for a while. Is it possible that the two families are really going to have a civil war? Capital Palace, Civil and Military Palace. At this moment, all the top bosses holding shares in the Empire gathered together. Obviously, after the near-farce battle in the Magic City, Emperor Jiang sent people to gather these Empire bosses together. At the same time, detailed information about the Magic City was also continuously passed on. The Lin family mobilized the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 3 main armies of the 4th war zone to dispatch, and they managed to fight evenly with one of the Chun family's armies, and their momentum was suppressed. More importantly, the Chun family dispatched only the 2nd Army of the 3rd Theater, not the ace team headed by it. 3 against 1, you have to beat them to death. The Lin family is quite powerful. With several times the strength, they have an advantage in terms of numbers, but they are beaten to a pulp in terms of momentum, and they are almost defeated by others. Although the two families are both the two giants of the imperial military, in fact, their hard power in the military is still very different. The news has spread in the Magic City. The reason for the fight between the two families has been found. I heard that the second lady of the Lin family is pregnant. I am afraid it is the son of the Chen family. No wonder the fight started. The one in the Magic City is pregnant with the eldest grandson of the Chen family. This is no joke. I'm afraid the Lin family is also holding back a fire. Their daughter has been loved by others. Now that she has blossomed, there are still people who want to snatch her away. That boy Chen Beiyuan has just arranged a marriage with the eldest daughter of the Bai family. The two families have also become friends of Qin and Jin, and something like this actually happened. What a good boy, he is so charming. He is even more powerful than Mr. Chen. There's something good to watch next. The top bosses in the Empire were all chattering and gossiping, and many of them had expressions of gloating and looking forward to the good show on their faces. The matter in the Magic City seemed to be a secret, but in fact when the Chun and Lin families started fighting, they could no longer hide it. Anyone who is not a fool can roughly guess that there must be something in the Magic City that caused the two families to fight. In this case, combined with the fact that Chen Beiyuan had been to the Magic City a month ago and had a one-night stand with the second lady of the Lin family, as well as the respective channels, it is natural that the guess is almost the same. But it is different from other people's gloating and watching a good show. In the palace, the silent Emperor Jiang, who was sitting on the dragon chair like a wooden sculpture, trembled when he heard that the daughter of the Lin family was pregnant with the son of the Chen family, as if a haze flashed across his eyes. The implications of a child with both Chun and Lin family bloodlines are not that simple. If it's a girl, forget it. If it's a boy, I don't know if someone did it on purpose or accidentally. The truth about the Magic City and tidbits about the young master of the Chun family suddenly began to appear from all over the imperial capital. For a moment, it stirred up 1,000 waves. Snapped. The cup fell to the ground. Zhang Yinhua was stunned on the spot. What? Beiyuan has a child. By family, backyard. Wire. This blood jade wedding dress was left to you by your aunt before she left. This dress is made of 1,000-year-old blood jade silk. Although it looks heavy, it is as light as cicada wings. Resist water and fire, control wind and thunder. Originally, she wanted to see you wear it when you got married. Bai Mu held a wooden box in her hand, and inside was a beautiful wedding dress that was bright red, extremely gorgeous, and embossed with the totem of flying phoenixes. This beautiful wedding dress was prepared by my aunt for herself back then. Unfortunately, things didn't work out as she wished, and it ended up being given as a gift to my grandniece. Bai Ruobing stroked the bright red wedding dress inside the wooden box, and a trace of reminiscence and expectation appeared on her face. It seemed that the scene of her and Beiyuan paying homage to each other and entering the wedding room had already appeared in her mind. After more than 10 years of waiting, it has finally come to fruition. When she thought of this, there was not only a hint of blush on her face, but at this moment, there were rapid footsteps outside, and Bai Yuzi yelled in panic. Sister, something bad is going on. There are rumors outside that my brother-in-law and the second lady of the Lin family have a child. Bai Ruobing's blushing face suddenly froze. Chen family, backyard. This one won't work. It's too flashy and not suitable for you. This one is too old-fashioned. Mother Chen is currently choosing a dress for her precious son's engagement party tomorrow. There was a mountain of clothes placed in front of her. As the protagonist of the fitting, Chen Beiyuan was lazily slumped on the sofa, motionless. But at this moment, a faint figure quietly entered the room, came directly to the excited ear of Mother Chen, and whispered softly. The smile on Mother Chen's face, which was still cheerful, disappeared instantly. The smile on Mother Chen's face disappeared instantly, and she looked directly at a certain unlucky child lying on the sofa, and even the clothes she was holding were thrown aside casually. You all get out. Yes, mistress. Seeing the mistress speak, the rest of the people in the room stood up quickly and bowed to leave without any hesitation. As a wealthy family, the Chen family has very strict family traditions and rules. Disobedient and unruly servants are basically destined to die. Only a certain little silly dragon, slurping a milk bottle, lying on a small bed not far away, hugging an Yuan doll, and sleeping soundly, didn't pay any attention to it, and still slept soundly. Mother Chen had no intention of arguing with the child. She walked towards her unlucky child on the sofa with a cold face and angrily, her eyes full of anger. There's a lot of heat outside, and things are so big. Do you still have the heart to sleep? At this moment, Chen Beiyuan looked like he was in a state of ruin. He had been tortured quite a lot by his mother in the past 2 days. I use him as a clothes rack every day. I put the newly made clothes on him. After putting them on, I throw them away if they don't look good, and get another set. He finally understood that his mother was obviously very concerned about and attached great importance to his marriage. Even if it was just an engagement party tomorrow, she would not slack off at all. Faced with this overwhelming maternal love, Chen Beiyuan really couldn't resist it. In less than 2 days, he tried on at least 1,000 sets of clothes, and even Kachatsi changed into dozens of them. What's even worse is that she always urges her to have a grandson. He said that his son was getting older and could no longer play with him, so he wanted to play with his grandson. Okay, he is really tired. Suddenly he was awakened by the sound of approaching footsteps, and he gradually came to his senses. When he turned his head, he saw a plump, mature woman with a sense of oppression standing in front of him. A round green finger pointed towards his head, pointed, and scolded sternly. You damn kid, you're still in a daze. Who told you to exert all your energy outside? If you have that kind of energy, you'd rather blame Ruowei. Now you're better, you can conquer the baby. It's very exciting, isn't it? It's very exciting, isn't it? You have a fiancé. You're going to make your mother so angry that she's having a baby outside. Only now do I know if there are any other girls besides the Lin family girl. You old Chen family are not famous for their innocence. The old man back then was not as outrageous as you. He also knew how to show mercy without leaving seeds behind. Otherwise, his old lovers would have to hold Chen Beiyuan one by one. I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to take care of them. The Chen family gave them a share, but your father probably wouldn't even be able to get a hair share. Mother Chen was so angry that she pointed at the unlucky child in front of her and scolded her. The Chen family and the Bai family had just gotten married and had set a wedding date, but then they turned around and exposed such a huge scandal. What does Bai Ruowei think? What do the Donghua Bai family think? If things get serious, it will definitely not look good. Moreover, what about the second young lady of the Lin family in Shanghai? With such a big incident happening, there are probably many people outside waiting to see the joke. Chen Beiyuan, who was poked in the head by his old mother, seemed to know that he was at fault, but did not refute. You damn kid, it's okay if you have needs. Why don't you spend some money on this kind of thing? If it doesn't work, just let others eat it as a nutritional supplement. Don't always want to go on a rampage, just for a short time. You go explain this matter to Ruowei yourself. I don't care. How you talk to Ruowei is your business. I only have one request. I want a grandson. Whether the child from Magic City is adopted or how to do it. No matter what, I must go back to the Chen family. After a scolding and swearing, Mother Chen changed her tone and focused on the child in Lin Yunluo's belly. His attitude also changed 180 degrees. It was obvious that she was angry, but she certainly wasn't too angry. In comparison, which grandson or granddaughter you have never met is more important? During this time, she was going crazy thinking about holding her grandson. As long as it is of one's own family, no matter who is born, the surname is Chun. It's just that you should talk to your wife about the things your kid caused. I don't care about the rest. Obviously, the old mother started to cheat. I want grandchildren, not sons. I have inquired about it. Although the Lin family girl likes to eat sweet and sour food, she still has more sour food. There is a high possibility that there is a boy in her belly. That is the eldest grandson of my Chen family. According to the old Chen family's tradition of naming seniority, it should be. Mother Chen was talking to herself excitedly, with a silent expression of joy as she was about to hold her big fat grandson. She was no longer excited at all when she was angry and scolding her just now. Obviously, as the mistress of the Chen family, she is very excited about the new bloodline that is about to be born in this big family. This child will not be named Chun. But at this moment, Chen Beiyuan, who was lying on the sofa, suddenly raised his head, the laziness on his face disappeared, and he spoke abruptly. Not far away, a sleeping little silly dragon suddenly swept his tail and turned over. The joy and excitement on Mother Chen's face suddenly froze, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on her face, and her eyes were fixed on the sun in front of her. What did you say? But Chen Beiyuan didn't say a word, choosing to remain silent, as if the words he just said were not his. Mother Chen is not stupid. She comes from the Ji family, a reclusive, wealthy family, and has received various educations. In addition, she has been in charge of the Chan family's internal affairs for decades, so she can guess some things clearly. What happened in the Magic City was not an accident. If you have a plan, you must have a big plan. There is a high probability that the husband and wife at home are hiding something from her. It doesn't matter. When children grow up, they like to hide everything in their hearts. Forget it. I don't care and I won't ask. You can handle it yourself. Mother Chen sighed, looking at her precious son with a look that was a little more happy and sad, as if she was watching the child who only knew how to growl finally grow up. Once upon a time, the little guy was already taller than her. She knew that keeping some things from her was not out of distrust, but more out of protection. She patted his shoulder, and with a mother's care for her son, she spoke with sincerity. Yuan, you are still young. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't hurt those who love you too much. Good. Chen Beiyuan nodded and agreed. At this moment, the housekeeper's deliberately loud voice suddenly came from outside the door. Young madam, you are here. You are here to see the young master. Bang. The door was violently pushed open, and a figure in white broke in regardless of the obstruction of the housekeeper behind him, instantly disturbing the people inside. Needless to say, one can tell at a glance that Bai Ruo must have run all the way from the Bai family, and she shed tears halfway. Otherwise, her eyes would not be so red. Chen Beiyuan knew that Bai Ruo had the divine ability in space. She could directly use the divine ability in space to teleport directly to the door of Chen's house and then come in. But it was obvious that in her panic, she had even forgotten her own abilities. Beiyuan, do you still want to marry me? Bai Ruo was panting. Her eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist, and she stared straight at the familiar figure who stood up in front of her. Even when she called out his name, there was a bit of trembling. Seeing the pitiful appearance of her daughter-in-law who was about to move in, Mother Chen felt heartbroken. She was about to speak, but was stopped by the son next to her with her hand. Let me solve this matter. Chen Beiyuan walked forward slowly and came to his fiancée, stretched out his arms, took her into his arms, hugged her directly, and whispered in her ear, Ruo, if anything happens, we'll get back to you. Room talk. With that said, he carried the white fairy and walked toward the room inside. From the beginning to the end, Bai Ruo didn't resist at all, let alone stalk him. She just hugged the man in front of her tightly, without any sign of letting go. 2 pairs of large white robes locked him directly. As a woman, one can imagine how she felt when she learned that her previous fiancé suddenly had a child. The word disturbed can perfectly describe her mood. You know, the appearance of the child in the demon city has undoubtedly seriously shaken her status in the palace. What if Beiyuan doesn't want her anymore? What would she do if Beiyuan chose Lin Yunluo and broke off the engagement with her for the sake of their children? Beiyuan, how can I live without you? No matter how smart, shrewd, and rational a woman is in normal times, when she encounters love, she will immediately lose her rationality, lose her wisdom, and become stupid. Seeing her precious son carrying Bai Ruo back to the room, it was obvious that there was some way to solve the problem. The look on Mother Chen's face relaxed a bit, and she breathed a sigh of relief. In the final analysis, this matter is still a bit sorry for the child Ruo. However, Mother Chen didn't notice that just when Chen Beiyuan was carrying Bai Ruo back to the room, the little silly dragon who was sleeping on the children's bed, holding the Yuan doll and sucking the bottle, quietly opened his eyes with a crack. Okay, don't cry. You're already crying. Watching you cry makes my heart almost break. Ruo, don't worry, I will definitely marry you. If I, Chen Beiyuan, only have one wife in my life, that must be you, wife. Really? Of course it is true. If you don't believe it, I can make an oath for this. I will only marry you as my wife in my life. If you violate the oath, I will let the thunder of the 9 heavens. No, don't make such an oath. I believe in you. I believe that you are. Seeing Chen Beiyuan actually willing to make a vow with his own life that he would only marry her as his wife in this life, this undoubtedly made Bai Ruo come back to life like a dead tree, and her pair of shining star eyes became radiant again. Chen Beiyuan also began to pursue the victory, slowly bowed his head, and further began to attack fiercely, completely dissolving her resentment. Good wife, I was wrong. I really didn't mean to have that child in Modu. I won't embarrass you. In this way, I will make it clear to you that the eldest grandson of the Chen family can only be your child. The rest I won't even recognize it. Oh, this is not good. How about you wait for Yunluo to give birth to a child and adopt it to me? I am willing to raise the child to grow up. After all, it is your blood. It is better to have a surname of Chen. Bai Ruo's cheeks were reddish and her eyes were hazy. She was obviously elated by the series of surprises. She knew that her position was not shaken at all, but was as stable as a mountain. However, her words were somewhat insincere. Although she didn't want to raise children for others, let alone let others divide her family property, she still took the initiative for Beiyuan and to show the palace's ambition. I'm afraid it would be impossible to tell Jiang Yunhua this point. I don't want it. You are my wife. Only the child you give birth to can be named Chen and inherit the Chen family's family business. I don't want anything else. I only want you. Wife, you smell so good. Good wife, will you forgive me? I won't dare to do it again this time. You don't know, my mother scolded me so bad just now that she almost beat me to death. Beiyuan, okay. I forgive you. Mom is still waiting outside. Let's go out first. Don't keep her waiting. Look, you are in a hurry. My dear wife, I know you are in a hurry, but don't be anxious. I have a good news for you. I read the secret technique of yin and yang of heaven and earth, recorded by the ancient Qi refining last night, and I figured it out. Several formulas can help to have children. Real or fake? Bai Ruowei's eyes suddenly lit up. Facts have proven that the fastest way to completely reassure a woman is to show your infatuation and obsession with her. Although it sounds ridiculous, it is the naked truth. People can be so ridiculous sometimes. And a certain Jia Yuan did just that. At the same time, people from the two war zones far away in the Magic City were in a state of confrontation and stalemate after a fight with no outcome. Interestingly, Chen Beiyuan, who was far away in the imperial capital, took the initiative to go to the Fourth Theater to conduct a spy with the head of the Lin family. What exactly the two masters talked about is unknown to the outside world. However, after the two people finished talking, the tense atmosphere between the two families disappeared instantly and they reconciled. The armies of the two war zones far away in the Demon City actually shook hands and made peace, and directly surrounded the entire Demon City tightly, like a bucket without water, and it was not clear who they were guarding against. This series of strange changes immediately made many people dumbfounded. Some people watching were stunned. No, why not fight? You two should keep up the good work. The reconciliation of the two families has undoubtedly disappointed many people. Among them is the one from Donghua Palace. However, anyone with a discerning eye knows that the current harmony between the two families is only temporary. Once the child from the Demon City who is pregnant with the blood of Chen, Lin, and the two families is born and the gender is confirmed, it will be the time when the two families will really fall out. It was the night before Chen Beiyuan and Bai Ruowei's engagement party was about to begin. A certain imperial daughter who knew that she had no hope of ascending to the throne was also completely off guard at this moment. She cried and ran towards the depths of the Donghua Empire's harem, Huangyuan Palace. Royal Grandma, Yinhua's heart hurts so much. Beiyuan has been snatched away by other bad women. Yinhua has no chance, no chance. Jiang Yunhua was lying on the body of a majestic and noble plump mature woman, sobbing, with uncontrollable grievance on her face, just like a little girl who was bullied outside and came back to complain to her elders. It's not surprising that she had such a huge reaction at the moment. It was really because of the series of events during this period that she was completely confused. First, Bai Ruowei succeeded in ascending to the throne and successfully obtained the approval of the Chun family's mistress. The Chun and Bai families made a complete engagement, which directly blocked her future path to the throne. Next, it was Lin Yunluo from Shanghai City who exposed the pregnancy incident. It is now confirmed that the other party is pregnant with Chen Beiyuan's seed. A series of news came down, and Jiang Yinhua was also dizzy, and he could hardly hold himself tight. The bus that was supposed to be shared by everyone has now been locked in advance by others. In the future, if everyone wants to sit there, won't they still have to look at their faces? This is far worse than the treatment I got before when I just wanted to sit down. There is no doubt that the biggest winner this time is Bai Ruowei. In this 18-year-old love race, she almost directly killed each of her competitors, jumped over them, hugged the handsome man back, and won the first place. The luckiest and biggest dark horse is Lin Yunluo. She won the big prize with just one shot. If it weren't for the complicated relationship between Chun and Lin's family, and Lin Yunluo's uncontested character, it would have been extremely possible for her to bring her son to the top. Her dark horse was almost able to kill Bai Ruowei. I didn't see Bai Ruowei panicking when she learned that the other party was pregnant. Now, the former has gained a man, the latter has a baby, but she has gained nothing. This is undoubtedly a heavy blow to her who has always been proud. It was so painful in her heart. Okay, Grandma Huang knows. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's just that the girl from the Bai family is very lucky. I guess the boy from the Chen family has also made a decision in his heart. The reason why you lost was actually because of your identity. Queen Mother Zhang looked at her granddaughter crying with pear blossoms and rain, and I felt pity for her. There was also a trace of emotion and complexity from the years on her plump and beautiful face, as if she was recalling the past. My identity. Jiang Yinhua was stunned, then slowly raised his delicate face with pear blossoms and rain, and looked at the imperial grandmother blankly, with a bit of confusion and doubt in his eyes. Queen Mother Jiang stroked her head and looked at this granddaughter who looked very much like her when she was young, with a kind smile on her face. I think back then, the imperial grandmother was not like you. She could almost defeat everyone and hold that old B asterisk 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 D in the palm of her hand. But in the end, she still missed a move and was completely defeated. Do you know why Chen Shanha chose an ordinary woman to marry and gave up the daughter of a wealthy family? The bottom line is that the Chun family had just experienced a great disaster and lost its top combat power. At that time, that old B asterisk 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 D Chen Shanha was forced to take over and became the head of the Qin family. At that time, the strength of the Qin family was greatly reduced, and they were in a precarious position. They were the fat in the eyes of countless people. If they made a bad choice, their military power would be taken away bit by bit. You have to know that a marriage is only possible if the two are equally powerful. If one is strong and the other is weak, it will inevitably lead to cannibalization. For this reason, Chen Shanha resolutely rejected the daughters of the aristocratic families, the imperial daughters of the royal family, and the saintess of the sect. In the eyes of countless people with their jaws dropped, he chose a woman from a rural background with no background as his wife. As this secret from that year was recounted, the expression on Jiang Yunhua's face gradually became blank and a little unbelievable. Old Master Chen actually has the secret. You know, this pillar of the empire today descended on the imperial capital with primordial spirit some time ago, shocking all parties. Even the ancestor of the Jiang family was alarmed, and the two sides fought in the sky. That was so majestic and domineering. But when he was young, he was forced to marry a woman from the mountains. But soon, she reacted. Grandmother, what you mean is, yes, the Qin family doesn't want to get too close to the royal family because once the two sides become in-laws and become a body integration of interests, on the surface, the two sides will become the most powerful existence in the entire empire. But do you think the royal family will let go of the possibility of getting involved in the military power of the Qin family? Don't look at the fact that the royal family has been bullied by all parties during this period of time, and it seems very weak, but in fact, in the Donghua Empire, the Zhang family has always been the strongest family. Will your father watch the military power so close at hand and not be tempted? At that time, your father is very likely to use you and your children to make a fuss. In a sense, the Chun family kid's move is not only to protect the Qin family, but also to protect you. Queen Mother Jiang sighed. Jiang Yunhua's face froze, and he was immediately chilled by what grandmother said. Since ancient times, the ruthless family of the heavens. As the daughter of the royal family, how could she not understand her father? He was a real, unscrupulous hero. As long as the military power of the Chun family can be successfully recovered, not to mention a daughter, even grandchildren can be sacrificed. Beiyuan is trying to protect me. He has me in his heart. It's all my father's fault. Jiang Yunhua's eyes gradually became brighter, and there was no more grief just now. A nymphomaniac smile appeared on her face, and she muttered to herself. Of course, she was still rational, and finally did not spit out the last word. However, in her heart, she was afraid that she had scolded a certain old man. Seeing that Yunhua had come out of her grief, Queen Mother Jiang's charming face also showed a trace of relief and satisfaction. She slowly took out a red bottle from her arms and placed it in front of her. Well, since the incident has already happened, it is already irreversible. By the way, the engagement party of the Chun family boy and the Bai family girl is tomorrow. You should go there as well, just as a witness. This bottle of divine medicine is called Mi Shun San. Once drunk, even the strongest will fall into a coma for a short time and have blurred consciousness. This thing is rare in the world and is a rare treasure. Grandmother didn't use much back then. There is still some left in it. I think it should be enough for you to use. As for whether you want it or not, that's your business. It's better not to leave too many regrets for yourself in life. Jiang Yunhua took the red bottle blankly and looked at the meaningful grandmother in front of her and seemed to understand something. She swallowed her saliva and asked with courage, "Who did grandmother use it on back then? What do you think?" Queen Mother Jiang winked playfully. Among the 4 lucky heroines, if Bai Ruowei is the champion, Lin Yunluo is the dark horse runner-up who suddenly burst out and almost won the championship, while Jiang Yinhua was defeated one after another, resulting in the bottom third runner-up. But in comparison, Jiang Yinhua was not the worst. There was someone else who was the worst. That is Leng Ruobing. During this period, as Chen Beiyuan's secretary, she was responsible for handling affairs. She had full power and experienced what it means to be in the name of power. But just when she was intoxicated, a piece of bad news hit her directly. Chen Beiyuan and Bai Ruowei are about to hold an engagement party and have set a wedding date. This undoubtedly killed her ambition to rise to the top through her role as secretary in the cradle. What made her even more unexpected was that she would have to be responsible for the purchase and arrangement of various items for the upcoming engagement party, as well as the invitations to the guests. She had to arrange everything for the two engaged couples, and then stand in the audience and watch them receive the blessings of all the guests. The engagement banquet between the Chen family and the Bai family was undoubtedly the most solemn event in the entire imperial capital in recent years. Almost all the wealthy families in the imperial capital paid attention to it. Even the major forces want to get an invitation to participate and show their favor to the Chen family. However, in view of various factors and the fact that the Chen and Bai family planned to hold the ceremony in a low-key manner, they just invited some familiar relatives and friends to come and watch the ceremony. Therefore, there are very few people who can receive invitations. Almost all of them are from top aristocratic families or some overseas forces that have good relations with the two families. Almost everyone has the presence of a big shot. This time, the engagement banquet between the two families was held at the Longting Hotel, a 7-star hotel in imperial capital. Longting Hotel is one of the subsidiaries of Longting Group, founded by Chen's mother. It is spread throughout the Donghua Empire and even has a great reputation overseas. Interestingly, when Chen Beiyuan first came to this world, he was with Leng Ruobing in the Longting Hotel. This is undoubtedly some kind of special coincidence. Just an hour before the engagement party was about to start, guests outside have begun to gradually enter, and many familiar people have begun talking to each other. Inside the locker room, Chen Beiyuan, who had already put on a handsome engagement suit, sat in front of the mirror and adjusted his clothes. But at this moment, he felt a tearing force coming from under his feet. When he looked down in confusion, he happened to see a small figure with 2 ponytails dragging a Yuan's doll by his trouser legs. Anu, what's wrong? Chen Beiyuan knelt down and looked at little Anu, who had a wrinkled face and was a little unhappy. His eyes seemed a little confused. Have you finished drinking, Nana? He easily removed the bottle from Anu's mouth, but found that it was still full. You know, this bottle of Nana was given to her in the morning. It has been at least several hours now, but she has not taken a sip. This is obviously not normal for Anu, who is unhappy without breasts. Ayuan, can you not get engaged to that woman? Anu suddenly raised his head, staring straight at him with his big eyes. His tone seemed a little tangled and low. Silly, she had no idea about human race's engagement. She just thought that someone would take a Yuan Kai away from her. She didn't like this feeling. Idiot, it turns out that's why you are here. I thought something was wrong with you these days. You just stay in bed and sleep every day. Chen Beiyuan stretched out his hand and stroked her little head, with a knowing smile on his lips, knowing that the little Anu in front of him was obviously possessive in dragon race's genes. For a child, when someone wants to take away the most precious thing from her, it will inevitably arouse her resistance and rebellion. The reason why she hasn't made a fuss these days is probably because she has matured a lot since she woke up. So, Chen Beiyuan patiently explained to her, the reason why I got engaged to Ruowei is because I like her and I love her. Does a Yuan love Anu? Anu suddenly spoke. Love it too. Then why can't a Yuan get engaged to Anu? Chen Beiyuan was stunned and looked at Anu, who asked in front of him. His eyes became surprised. Is this the same little silly dragon that only knew and could stutter? Why did you become so smart all of a sudden? However, he was not stopped by the question, with a smile on his face. Because Anu is too young. Then when Anu gets older, he can get engaged to Ayuan and stay with Ayuan forever. Anu's big eyes instantly glowed with expectation. But Chen Beiyuan still smiled and shook his head. No, engagement can only be done with one person. Oomph. Yuan. This won't work, that won't work either. When I grow up, I will snatch you away from that bad woman, lock you up, and marry you to me. Anu angrily snatched the bottle, and the Yuan doll in his hand hit him hard on the face. He angrily ran back to the children's bed in the corner and curled up. It was obvious that the baby dragon was P************** D off. In this regard, Chen Beiyuan was also a little helpless. This rebellious baby dragon was really hard to coax. If he disagrees with me, I want to arrest him and imprison him when he grows up. Well, this does fit in well with Dragon Race's domineering character. Just when Chen Beiyuan was about to step forward and continue to comfort him, his cell phone suddenly rang. He picked up his phone and looked at it, but it was a text message. But when he saw the content of the text message, he frowned. Beiyuan, room 808. I have something to tell you. It's about you. Yinhua. Longting Hotel, room 808. Although he didn't know what the text message from Yinhua meant or what the big deal was, Chen Beiyuan still decided to go. After all, there is still an hour left before the engagement party begins. Come to think of it, Yinhua will not target without aim. When Chen Beiyuan came to the door of the room and was about to knock on the door, he found that the door was unlocked and pushed it in. But after entering, he didn't see Jiang Yinhua. However, when he looked at the room in front of him, he felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. This place seems familiar. It seems to be the room where I, the destined villain, met Leng Ruobing at the beginning of the plot in my previous life, and was poisoned and lost all my cultivation. At the same time, it is also the beginning of my life defying the heavens and changing fate. Chen Beiyuan looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar room in front of him, with a trace of inexplicable nostalgia on his face. At this moment, he didn't know why Jiang Yinhua invited him here. However, since the other party hasn't come yet, just wait for her. Thinking about it, the other party should be coming soon. At this moment, he happened to see 2 glasses of red wine that had been poured in advance on the table. Yinhua should have asked someone to prepare it in advance. By chance, Chen Beiyuan was also a little thirsty, so he picked up a glass and started to drink. But just when he raised it and brought it close to his lips, his movements were strange. He sniffed slightly with the tip of his nose, as if he smelled something, but also didn't seem to. Gulu. In the end, the red wine in the glass was drained. Chen Beiyuan sat beside the bed, quietly waiting for the other party's arrival. But at this moment, I don't know if it was because I was too drunk or for some reason, Chen Beiyuan suddenly felt a dizzy feeling coming over him. His whole body became hazy, and everything in front of him became blurry. What's going on? Snapped. He fell on the bed as if he was drunk. His eyelids couldn't stop trembling. Click. At this moment, the door of the room opened, and a figure whose appearance was unclear closed the door and walked slowly towards him. I don't know how much time passed, maybe a second, maybe an hour. When Chen Beiyuan noticed something strange and forced himself to open his eyelids, he only saw a white, blurry figure hovering in front of him. Jiang Yinhua never expected that when he went to the harem and complained to the imperial grandmother, he would gain something unexpected and learn a shocking secret. At that time, Mr. Chen finally chose to marry an ordinary woman due to various factors. At that time, the daughters of the major families, the royal daughters, and the monster race saintess all burst into tears and were heartbroken. There was only one person who, although filled with grief and anger, was bold enough to do something shocking. It is said that on the day of his wedding, Mr. Chen became a groom twice in a daze. The bride stayed alone in the empty room and didn't see anyone until dawn. With such an outrageous case in front of him, Jiang Yinhua naturally wanted to imitate the ancients and act like a thief, so as not to leave too many regrets. Of course, given the sisterly relationship between her and Ruowei, she naturally wouldn't go too far. There was still an hour before the engagement party, which was still plenty of time. She would end the fight as soon as possible. Anyway, Chen Beiyuan will have to be locked up by Ruowei from now on. It will be difficult to use it. You have to ask the owner's opinion. It can be said that it is used once and less once. It's like a gym experience card. It's about to expire, so you can't use it until you die. 1 more minute, 1 more minute. There is still enough time, still enough. It's only 59 points. There's time, there's time. Facts have proved that women are always greedy, and once they become greedy, things will easily end. Just like now, Jiang Yanhua is obviously a bit greedy. He has almost forgotten about the engagement party outside and Bai Ruowei who is waiting. The Chen family is looking for someone and is going crazy. Now, all the top families in the entire Donghua Empire have come, and even the royal family sent a prince. And just 1 minute before the engagement party started, the man suddenly disappeared. This was no joke. If one thing goes wrong, the Chun and Bai family will lose their face in front of the entire empire. Fortunately, at the last minute, Chen Beiyuan frowned. The abyss deep in his soul trembled slightly, and a forbidden power suddenly burst out. Swish! Chen Beiyuan suddenly opened his eyelids, and his blurred eyes suddenly became cold, dark, and with a mysterious light. He looked coldly at the dazed and irrational Huang Mao in front of him, and understood everything in an instant. Snapped! A certain Huang Mao was slapped hard in an instant and was slapped to the ground mercilessly. Outside the guest hall, at the entrance, Bai Ruowei put on a red wedding dress and her face was exquisitely dressed. Her already stunning appearance glowed even more dazzlingly at this moment, like a red dust immortal who had fallen into the mortal world. At this moment, her temperament almost overwhelmed the other lucky heroines. However, the white fairy at this moment was frowning, with a trace of unconcealable sadness and confusion in her eyes. Today was supposed to be a big day, but as an engaged bride, she didn't feel any joy or excitement at all. Because Beiyuan suddenly disappeared, the Chen family is now frantically looking for someone. Originally, the Chen family didn't want Bai Ruowei to know about this matter for the time being. But as the engagement party gets closer and closer, I can no longer hide it. Ruowei, Mom wants to apologize to you. That dead kid from Beiyuan went somewhere and can't be found now. Don't worry, Mom will find him back for you. When the time comes, you can beat him or scold him as you please. Either way, if by the time the engagement party starts, we haven't found anyone yet, we will announce the cancellation and postpone it. Mother Chen's apologetic expression and face at that time is still vivid in my mind. Bai Ruowei was deeply impressed. Her eyes were dim and she lowered her head, no longer as rational and calm as before. Hasn't anyone been found yet? There is no news yet. Sister, don't worry. My brother-in-law is not the kind of person who breaks his promise. He will definitely not run away on this great day. In my opinion, something may have happened to him. Beiyuan saw his elder sister's eyes filled with sadness and quickly spoke out to comfort her. However, his comfort not only did not have the slightest comfort effect, but actually had a worse effect. The sadness between Bai Ruowei's eyebrows deepened. She would rather Beiyuan reneges on her word than anything really happens to Beiyuan. What I mean is that the brother-in-law has his own destiny. He must not. No, that's it. Sister, I will help you find your brother-in-law now. There is a high probability that he is hiding from that B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Seeing that things were getting darker and darker, and his words were becoming more and more wrong, Beiyuan also panicked and quickly found an excuse to run away. In an instant, she was left standing alone, at a loss. At this moment, guests outside the hall were chatting and laughing with each other. Even the sworn enemies among the guests who usually had grievances greeted each other with smiles, without any intention of falling out. Making trouble at the Chun family's engagement party is probably not because of longevity, nor is this the way to offend someone. At the same time, the big screen in the hall also started the countdown to the last minute. As soon as time is over, the engaged couple will come out of the aisle. Everyone's attention and energy also began to concentrate. Looking towards the direction of the passage, even the conversation gradually became less and quieter. At this moment, they still don't know about Chen Beiyuan's disappearance, and they don't know what will happen next. The prince who was sent from the royal family was a little confused at the moment and looked around. Why did his niece Jiang Yinhua, who came with him, disappear as soon as he entered the venue? Standing in the passage, Beiyuan seemed to be able to feel the expectant eyes from outside, but the bitterness on her face became more and more intense. Beiyuan, could it be that everything you said before was lying to me? Or are you still unable to let go of that kid from the demon city? Now she has some doubts about whether Beiyuan has the idea of regretting the marriage because of the child in the magic city. Otherwise, it would be impossible to play missing at this critical time today. And the countdown in the hall is now coming to an end. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Unexpectedly, he eventually lost to Lin Yun. Just when Bai Ruowei completely fell into despair and loss and began to turn dark, a tall figure suddenly appeared, and a warm touch suddenly held her hand. She was slightly startled, and when she raised her head, she saw the familiar face that haunted her. "Sorry, I'm late." When the countdown on the screen completely reaches 0, the MC in charge of the engagement banquet held the microphone and shouted with a passionate voice, "We would like to invite our newly engaged couple to appear. Tread, tread, tread." In the direction of the passage, a pair of golden boys and girls, a perfect match, slowly walked out, which immediately aroused applause and cheers from all the guests. Everything was so harmonious. No one knew that just a minute ago, this engagement party almost became a farce. However, just when the newlyweds began to receive blessings from all the guests, as the woman, by Ruowei's seemingly happy smile, could not hide a trace of inexplicable bitterness. At this moment, holding Chen Beiyuan on her arm, she could smell the indescribable special perfume and smell of him. So what did Chen Beiyuan do just now? It's almost revealed. Bai Ruowei didn't know how she was accompanying Beiyuan throughout the hall, thanking uncles and uncles. At this moment, her mind was blank, and the bitterness in her heart could hardly be concealed. No matter how calm and broad-minded she is, it is still difficult to accept that on this important day, her husband is actually sleeping with other women. When Beiyuan held her hand and returned to the room to rest, the grief and anger in her heart could no longer be suppressed. "Chen Bei," snapped. Before Bai Ruowei could utter her sad and indignant question, the figure in front of her lost her legs and fell directly into her arms. Her eyelids could not stop trembling. She no longer had the calmness and dignity she had just shown in front of the guests. "Sorry, I can't hold it any longer." Obviously, all the medicinal properties in his body have not been eliminated. "I was just holding on." Bai Ruowei stared blankly at her husband, whose face was so tired that he passed out and lost the ability to resist. Her expression suddenly changed, her eyes became sharp, and she understood something instantly. Bump! The door was kicked open. The huge movement instantly attracted the attention of Chun and Bai's family outside. "Somebody come." Bai Ruowei held the unconscious Beiyuan with both hands. Her face became extremely gloomy, like a tigress that saw its cubs, and she roared angrily. "I'll detain all the Jiang family members." Bai Ruowei was really angry now. "I thought that Beiyuan was just playful and still messed around with Jiang Yinhua behind her back on such an important day. But now it seems that this is not fun in Beiyuan. It was simply drugged by that ch Jiang Yinhua. But even so, he still managed to come back and complete the entire engagement banquet without embarrassing her and the Chun and Bai family." After learning the truth, she looked at Beiyuan in her arms, with heartache and guilt in her eyes. As a wife, she actually doubted her husband's love for her, and yelled at him. How helpless he must have been at that time. As for the mastermind behind the scenes, Bai Ruowei's anger reached its peak in an instant. "Go to the Jiang family. Go to the Imperial Sixth Highness. You are in trouble." At this moment, she was like a tigress who saw her cub being bullied, unable to suppress the rage in her heart. If this fire doesn't come out, her name by Ruowei will be written upside down. If her man is left out to be bullied by other women, if she doesn't even dare to fart, then should she still be given to others? "I'll detain all the Jiang family members." Outside the door, the strong men of the Chen family did not hesitate at all and immediately rushed towards the hall where the show was about to end, preparing to arrest people. "The future mistress has spoken. Why are you still hesitating? It doesn't matter what the Jiang family is, it's your Jiang family who is doing it." The remaining strong men of the Bai family were still in a daze. Some did not react, and at the same time there seemed to be some hesitation on their faces. The Bai family is not as domineering as the Chen family, and they are always ready to give eye drops to the royal family. Arresting the Jiang family for no reason may cause a lot of trouble. But he saw that the Chun family members were all heading towards the hall like wolves and tigers, and Bai Ruowei's eyes were gradually becoming colder and wanted to kill. The rest of the Bai family also gritted their teeth and headed towards the hall. As the newlyweds exited, the engagement party also came to an end. The spokespersons of the major aristocratic families and other overseas forces present also began to want to withdraw. But at this moment, a violent vibration suddenly appeared from the exit, getting closer and closer, as if it was coming from this way. Huh? What's going on? A middle-aged guest was a little confused. Is it possible that someone else dares to damage the Chun family's place? You know, today is a happy day for the Chen family. Who dares to come and seek death? The other guests present also had this thought at the moment, but some of them frowned and sensed something was wrong. At this moment, among the crowd, Prince Yu, who looked like a middle-aged man with a fat belly and was protected by several strong men of the Jiang family, suddenly felt an ominous premonition. As a royal prince, although his talent is not high, he has reached the peak of king of war due to the accumulation of many resources. However, compared with his cultivation, he is born with a special ability. That is, he can sense the arrival of danger. Not good. Bang! The exit of the hall suddenly exploded, and burly figures wearing dark iron and black armor rushed in directly, blocking the exit forcefully, exuding a strong, evil aura. At the same time, powerful figures suddenly appeared in the hall passages at the back, blocking all the guests from all directions. The young mistress has an order to detain the Jiang family. No one is allowed to escape. As soon as these words came out, everyone present fell silent. Prince Yu's face turned even pale, as if he was connected to something. A pair of surprised and uncertain eyes instantly focused on the Chun family's army and the Bai family in front of them. Crazy. Crazy. A royal prince was detained in public. What did the Chen family want to do? They rebelled. And the Bai family actually dared to get involved. Seeing that the Chun and Bai family were just arresting the Jiang family and had no intention of embarrassing anyone else, the other visitors quickly dispersed like birds and animals and began to spread the news. Okay, could it be that the empire is about to change again? The two important figures, Father Chun and Father Bai, also rushed towards the imperial palace, wanting to get an explanation. No, things are getting serious. Jiang Yinhua, who had clear palm prints on his face that had not yet subsided, looked at the scene where his seventh uncle was tied into a rice dumpling and dragged away like a dead dog. His face suddenly changed slightly, and he realized that he had gotten into a big trouble after being filled with lust. She never expected that Bai Ruowei would dare to take such wanton revenge. How dare you detain someone from the Jiang family? This undoubtedly frightened the arrogance in her bones. This was different from what she had expected. At this moment, Jiang Yinhua did not expect that the reason why her royal grandmother was able to succeed without any damage was because that person was just an ordinary person. She had just married into the Chen family and did not have much foundation. She wanted to take revenge. It's extremely difficult. I can only endure it. But Bai Ruowei is different. If she could tolerate this kind of thing, she might not really become a green slave. Jiang Yinhua, who was already feeling guilty, felt a little guilty when he saw that the real master was coming for real. He immediately thought that it would be better to make a strategic retreat first. But when she just opened the door and wanted to run away, she was blocked by a figure wearing a red wedding dress and holding an emerald green vine whip in his hand. Where do you want to go? If Ruowei. Jiang Yinhua was forced back into the room little by little. Snapped. The door to the room was slammed shut. For Bai Ruowei, she could watch Jiang Yinhua fooling around in front of her in the past. That was because her identity had not yet been completely determined, and Beiyuan's attitude was ambiguous and unclear. But the past was before, and the present is now. At this time, she was already Chen Beiyuan's main palace and the eldest sister of everyone. You can sit in this position only if I let you sit. If I don't let you sit, you can't even touch it. If some people still can't figure out their status, don't blame her for being cruel. Given Jiang Yinhua's status, she would not kill him. But at least you have to let the other party know who is the biggest. The position of the main palace starts from today. Snapped, 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 snapped. Pull up the millstone, lift up the millstone. Locker room. Chen Beiyuan was lying on the bed, as if falling into a deep sleep, motionless. On the children's bed not far away, Anu, who was holding the Yuan pillow, slowly raised his little head, looked at the living Yuan not far away, and then looked at the pillow in his hand. Snapped. The pillow was ruthlessly abandoned. She climbed onto the bed with her short legs and held the unconscious Yuan in her arms, as if she was holding the most precious treasure in the world. Anu likes Yuan. She hugged Yuan in an old-fashioned way, as if she were her own child, and began to coax him. This action is very similar to some of Ruowei's previous actions. I don't know if I am deliberately imitating it or just letting it happen. At this moment, she suddenly lowered her head and looked at the handsome face so close in front of her, with a silly smile on her face. Yuan is good, drink Nana. Chen Beiyuan, who was in a deep coma, seemed to be in a deserted desert and was very thirsty. Because he had just been robbed of a lot of water by a ginger-haired man, a deep thirst instantly swept over his body, causing him to urgently need water. At this moment, a drop of sweet nectar slowly dripped into his mouth, which immediately shook his body and relieved his chaotic thoughts. A soft bottle of milk came, which immediately stimulated his special talent and survival instinct in his infancy. Suck, suck, suck. But, for some reason, he always felt a little weird. Where did the bottle come from? Shouldn't he be in Ruowei's arms? At this moment, a cute voice suddenly appeared in his ears. Yuan, be good, drink Nana. Just when Fairy Bai severely whipped Jiang Qinu, the mistress, and showed her status as the queen, she didn't know about the fire in the harem. Although a certain silly dragon looks silly at ordinary times, he is always smart at critical moments. He knows what it means to take advantage of the opportunity and what it means to enter the abyss. She is busy dealing with Jiang Qinu, the shameless mistress, and must defeat her. Nowadays, among the many women in Beiyuan, a certain school beauty named Leng is not to be feared. She is just a hot weapon and poses no threat at all. Not to mention the one in Sakura country. There is no chance for her in her life. At most, she is a dog kept outside to guard the territory for the Chen family. That little silly dragon? Silly. Although he has some small plans, he is not to be worried about. She can easily beat this kind of fool who only knows Nana and does not know Xiao Beiyuan. All along, Jiang Yunhua, whose status, position, and strength are equal to hers, is her biggest opponent. However, now that this opponent has revealed such a big loophole, he will be completely defeated by her. However, Bai Ruowei did not notice that while Jiang Qinu was being whipped by her with a rattan whip, her eyes looking at her became strange. Just when the battlefield inside Longting Hotel was full of smoke, the wind direction of the entire imperial capital also became solemn, and all parties paid attention. All the top families cast their eyes on it. After the engagement banquet, the Chun and Bai families actually detained a royal prince and an imperial princess. Such a bold move was simply trampling on the face of the royal family. What surprised countless people even more was that after doing such a rebellious thing, the two heads of the family, Chun Zhiqing and Bai Yun, actually went to the palace as soon as possible. I don't know what they talked to Emperor Jiang about. The so-called royal anger has never been released. This undoubtedly made many people very confused and disappointed. When did the royal family become so easy to talk to? They let people ride on their faces, but they are still so quiet. Fight! Fight! If we don't fight, how can we fish in troubled waters and benefit from it? While the outside world was changing, the palace was not as tense as they imagined, but rather a little weird and awkward. To be honest, when Emperor Jiang learned that his seventh brother and daughter were detained by the Chun and Bai families, even though he had the heart of a sovereign, he could not hide his anger. But before Emperor Jiang got angry, Queen Mother Jiang in the harem, his mother, sent a secret letter. After reading the content, Emperor Jiang, who knew the truth, was stunned. Damn it! I thought it was Chun Bai who was causing trouble and wanted to rebel, but I didn't expect it to be a royal scandal. The princess of the empire actually drugged her married husband, did evil things, and even made people block her. What's even more shocking is that this kind of thing was taught to him by his mother, the queen mother of the empire. Just when Zhang Huang was a little embarrassed, the parents of Chun and Bai's family came to the door. Ahem. Chen Qing, Bai Qing. They all blame Gu Sheng for being busy with affairs and neglecting to discipline Yun Hua, which is why this happened. Just when Zhang Huang was slightly embarrassed and wanted to speak to ease the atmosphere. But some people couldn't help but fire directly. Interestingly, the one who fired this time was not the domineering Chen Ziqing, but Bai Yun, who had always been gentle and elegant. The child of the former was so drugged that he naturally couldn't bear it. Oh no, I couldn't bear it. However, to say how angry it is nonsense. The latter's child's husband was astonishing at the engagement party. It was like a flying dragon riding on his face and slapping him in the Bai family's face. Even Bai Yun, who has a somewhat good-natured personality, couldn't bear it anymore. In addition, there is a son named Bai Yuza fanning the wind behind his back and lighting will-o'-the-wisps. Your Majesty, what does neglect of discipline mean? Could it be that if you do something wrong, just neglecting discipline can solve it? Is there any royal law in the empire? Facts have proved that the empire still has royal laws. Of course, Wang Fa also has to choose a partner. 4 top aristocratic families, such as the Chun family and the Bai family, Wang Fa naturally has them. No one knows what Emperor Jiang discussed with the heads of the 2 families in the palace, and what kind of compensation and concessions they made, which finally suppressed this royal scandal. The imprisoned Prince Yu and the bruised, somewhat unconscious, and beaten Jiang Yunhua were eventually sent back. Originally, with Emperor Jiang's character, even if his daughter caused such a big scandal and caused losses to the interests of the royal family, she would definitely be severely punished. However, due to the intervention and intercession of a certain old mother in the harem, Jiang Yunhua, the lucky heroine, was only imprisoned in the end. In the end, in the eyes of countless people outside, the whole thing ended like a fun that started but ended. Maybe some thoughtful people have already guessed a little bit, but they don't dare to say anything nonsense. Otherwise, he would have offended the 3 behemoths of the empire. When Bai Ruowei returned to the room, she saw Chen Beiyuan, who had just woken up, shaking a full, baby bottle with a strange expression on his face, and his eyes were looking at a little silly dragon from time to time. And the little silly dragon Anu, with a cute face and pure eyes, sat aside and rocked the yuan pillow, looking like a child amusing himself. A yuan is good. A yuan is good. Although everything seemed so harmonious and normal, Bai Ruowei felt that something was wrong. Could it be that something happened while she was away? It shouldn't be. This little guy is silly, like a little fool. Well, it should be an illusion. It should be an illusion. It stuck. If that's the case, then modify the plot, trigger conflicts in advance, and start the exciting plot. A new chapter is about to begin, Battle of Kyoto. As the engagement banquet incident came to an end, the entire imperial capital gradually calmed down. This world will not change without anyone, but will continue to operate as usual. Everything, after the passion, will always return to dullness. After thoroughly deciding on his son's marriage and his daughter-in-law's title, Chen's father returned to the Third War Zone to retreat and make a breakthrough. He would never leave the barrier until he broke through the 8th grade. At this moment, he is already at the peak of Quasi-Emperor and is only 1 step away from the Emperor realm. Originally, given his character, he was planning to break through the Emperor realm in the 3rd theater before leaving. But because the previous series of things were all related to his own son, he interrupted midway and came out to take charge of the overall situation. Mother Chen also returned to the family and began to take charge of the family's internal affairs. It was impossible for her to go back to Ji's house after being interrupted midway to visit her relatives. Moreover, this time she was very angry with her mother's family. When her son's engagement party was held, she also sent an invitation to the Ji family with great expectations. As a result, on the day of the engagement party, none of my parents came. This made Chen's mother so angry that she cursed her mother-in-law and her family to die. She would find a time to go back and bring them some paper money to burn. She never imagined that her mother-in-law's family would really give her no face at all. Even if it is, it's okay to send a servant to deliver a gift. This way, each other's faces will look better. You know, she took the initiative to go back some time ago just to ease the conflict between the 2 families. As a result, The arrogant bastards of the Ji family still looked down on her husband's family, and they still looked as dead as before. A bunch of self-proclaimed old antiques, old things, always guarding the glory of the past and giving back the descendants of human sovereign. The human sovereign is gone. They think they are superior to others and look down on the human race. They were beaten by others back then. Now, why don't you be arrogant anymore? If you were really arrogant and tough back then, I wouldn't have been able to come back with you and have a baby. The beating was gentle back then, but it still didn't wake up the feudal superstitions in the minds of those old antiques. Mother Chen was obviously really heartbroken. She didn't even come to her son's engagement party, let alone the wedding day. As the daughter of the Ji family and the daughter-in-law of the Chen family, she is caught in the middle and is in a dilemma. The men in the family are always busy and don't know where they are going every day. Fortunately, there is Bai Ruowei, a caring little cotton-padded jacket, who can comfort her. Yes, after the engagement, Bai Ruowei settled in the Chen family as a matter of course. She regarded herself as the young mistress and became proficient in various internal affairs of the Chen family. Nowadays, each of the girls has their own arrangements. Ruowei got her title and stayed in the Chun family to practice internal affairs in preparation for taking over the power of the Chun family's internal affairs in the future. Manhwa was ordered to be confined to the palace. Although he lost his freedom, he could use this opportunity to sharpen his temper, digest what he had gained in the cherry blossom country, and the essence of the Beiyuan in his body, waiting to be reborn from the ashes. Lin Yunluo is pregnant with my child and is raising her baby in the Magic City. She is protected by the army and strong men of the Chun and Lin families, so she is safe and worry-free. Although Leng Ruobing has no status, he is covered in my tiger skin, gained power, and has self-awareness. He follows Ruowei every day, assists in taking power, and thinks about progress. Everyone got what they could get and what I could give. Chen Beiyuan was lying on the rocking chair, holding the sleeping Anu in his arms. His eyes were dark, and he thought to himself. Nowadays, the women around him have their own arrangements. No longer want to fight among themselves for the position of the head wife, like before, falling in love and killing each other. Maybe there will be competition for favor in the future, but a range has been circled in advance. Even Anu follows him every day, like a little tail, who needs to be fed when eating and sleeping at night. At this point, he has achieved the ultimate. Ding! Congratulations to the host for changing the original fate line and choosing Bai Ruowei as the main wife from many lucky heroines, avoiding the fate line of being single until death in the original work. At the same time, the other lucky heroines still have undiminished love for you. Not at all, but on the contrary, it is more intense, and the luck of all the lucky heroines will be more deeply integrated with you. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving a special reward. 36 Methods of Heavenly Dipper, Fragments. 36 Methods of Heavenly Dipper, Fragment. It records the legendary Taoist supreme magic method in ancient times. However, because it is only a fragment, the true meaning is not obtained. There are only a few Taoist texts left, without the original magical effect, only great perseverance. Only those with great wisdom and great luck can understand the Tao and Dharma from it. 36 Methods of Heavenly Dipper. Maybe some people will be a little unfamiliar with it, but its corresponding Earth Fiend's 72 transformations may be familiar to some people. Even if you are not familiar with Earth Fiend's 72 transformations, then you should be familiar with a certain monkey who likes to hit people on the head with a stick. After the monkey obtained the Earth Fiend's 72 transformations, back then, he became unparalleled in fighting power and became famous, beating the gods and Buddhas all over the sky with fear. The power of Heavenly Dipper's 36 methods is further than that of Earth Fiend's 72 transformations. The Heavenly Dipper 36 method records 36 divine abilities, such as cycle of good fortune and creation, reversal of yin and yang, shifting stars to changes, returning to heaven and sun. These are all supreme divine abilities that have magical effects such as changing the day, reversing yin and yang, predicting the future, and resurrection from the dead. This shows the horror of Heavenly Dipper's 36 methods. It's a pity that Chen Beiyuan only got fragments of the article, and all he had in his mind were some narrations of major divine abilities. Without the true meaning of the articles, it was almost fragmented to the extreme. This is undoubtedly a name in vain, but in reality, it is rubbish. If he were an ordinary person, he would probably be scolding his mother now. But Chen Beiyuan didn't feel angry or angry at all. His expression was calm. He just read the Taoist text in his mind carefully, with a thoughtful expression on his face. Lin Jiuxiao's eyes were gloomy. His face was gloomy. There was a clear palm mark on the right side of his face, and half of his face was swollen. Since Lin Xiao left, the third young master of the Lin family has been losing his will for a while. But when my elder brother was in retreat, he never showed up, just like he died in the cave of 10,000 snakes. His mind gradually became active, and the desire for power gradually spread to his mind. If the eldest brother dies in 10,000 Snakes Cave, won't the Lin family have to rely on him to turn the tide and shoulder the burden in the future? Ever since, he began to show off his abilities frequently, getting close to his sister-in-law, being filial to his parents, and talking to his elders. He began to make his own voice in the family. After he showed his tough character, his father's attitude towards him obviously changed, and his status gradually rose in the family. Just when he was extremely excited and thought that he could replace his eldest brother and start to regard himself as the heir of the family, after hearing that his second sister was defiled by a certain Chen family, D, his first reaction was to use a tough attitude to destroy the Chen family. Pay the price. When he told his father his thoughts with great expectation and wanted his father's support, the smile on his father's face disappeared and he slapped him with his backhand. That slap directly blinded him. Idiot, I thought you were useful, but you turned out to be incompetent. Go back and be your playboy. At this moment, he still remembered his father's disappointed look at that time. Lin Jiuxiao reached out and touched the right side of his face that was swollen into a pig's head, his eyes cold and malicious. My father is becoming more and more cowardly. Father is becoming more and more cowardly. In Lin Jiuxiao's eyes, his father was too cowardly. In his old age, he had gradually lost the courage and responsibility he had when he was young, and all he had was his superficial toughness. A family head who can only be aggressive internally and soft externally will undoubtedly be a huge disaster for the Lin family. The reason why the Lin family has been so suppressed by the Chun family in recent years is not because of the father's cowardice. Why don't you dare to have a serious fight with the Chen family? At worst, some people will die. At worst, they will fight for some family heritage. Even if they lose, they can still tear a bite of flesh from the Chen family. If the Lin family changes to a tough head like him, then the Lin family is destined to usher in a new life and glory. Father, you will regret this. Lin Jiuxiao gritted his teeth and said, no matter how great the ambition he has in his heart, he has no chance of taking power now. There is still an elder brother above him, and there is a father above him. They were like mountains, suppressing themselves and the hope of the Lin family's rise. It would be great if these obstacles could be broken down. Lin Jiuxiao lowered his head, with a dangerous light flashing in his eyes, indicating some special thoughts in his mind at the moment. Since ancient times, those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. As long as he succeeds, history will remember his great achievements and ignore those shameful things. However, he still needs help at this moment. Suddenly, a pendant on his chest shone with a trace of green light, flickering intermittently, as if it was conveying some message. When Lin Jiuxiao saw this green light, his eyes could not help but shine with a hint of surprise. Because this pendant was a token of love given to him by Lin Xiao. After all this time, you are finally willing to contact me. Southern Xinjiang. Lin Xiao looked at the pendant in his hand. A hint of complexity and strangeness flashed in his indifferent eyes. Unexpectedly, after many days, he still took the initiative to contact the other party. After going around in circles, I finally have to take this step. Without a strong enough aristocratic family to support me, I can't beat Chen Beiyuan at all. Whether I want to protect myself or defeat the opponent, I need a behemoth who is no less powerful than the Chen family, even just a hair short of it, to support me. However, in order to prevent what happened last time from happening again, I need to quickly gain enough status in the Lin family. I am afraid that ordinary methods will not work. The only way is to take shortcuts and take dangerous measures to help Lin Jiuxiao rise to power. With me and with his relationship, he will definitely protect me, and he will also be my biggest talisman. If possible, Lin Xiao really doesn't want to be involved or contacted with Lin Jiuxiao. After all, the other party is also one of his dark histories. But after being beaten and punished by Chen Beiyuan one after another, he really couldn't stand it anymore. Even if he had to make some sacrifices, he would not hesitate. Nowadays, Lin Jiuxiao is famous, but he lacks a force that can be used at critical moments. But I have the ability to create this force. Lin Zhao's eyes were cold and his fists were clenched tightly, as if he was suppressing something. Behind him, there were two burly barbarian figures standing. They were silent, their chests rose and fell for a long time, and they took a breath for a long time. Their whole bodies exuded terrifying blood. These two are both powerful barbarians with high levels of cultivation. However, under their seemingly normal appearance, there is a hint of green light and stiffness deep in their eyes. These were actually two refined poison corpses. I'm afraid that if Emperor Venerable could be here, he would be frightened by the scene in front of him. The secret technique of poisoning corpses that I was once proud of was actually learned by a kid with wheat-skin stockings. I have to say that Emperor Venerable is undoubtedly a good teacher. Although he did not teach Lin Xiao anything, his exquisite and unique poisoning methods gave Lin Xiao a great enlightenment. He's enlightened. The Donghua Empire is one of the top 5 empires in the human race. Its vast territory far exceeds ordinary people's imagination. In addition, it is quietly expanding all the time. Naturally, the Northern Front is not the only imperial battlefield. The Northern Front is nothing more than the empire's largest battlefield and border defense line. In the southern part of the empire, with the southern border as the buffer zone, there is also a large, unfamiliar territory connected to the empire. It is inhabited by a large number of terrifying beasts and alien races, as well as various rich resources. Originally, the ferocious beasts and aliens here lived well. After all, normally, no one would provoke them. It's a pity that 200 years ago, I don't know which genius secretly moved the empire's border monument in the southern border. At first, the boundary stone only moved half a meter a day, but I didn't notice anything was wrong. After several days, it only moved less than a few meters. Not to mention the Donghua Empire. Even the ferocious beasts and alien races that have occupied their territory don't care. It wasn't until the 7th day that something big happened. The border monument suddenly appeared overnight in the camp of a Taoran tribe chief 100 miles away. It is said that when the Taoran chief woke up, he was frightened by such large rocks. This matter was quickly learned by the top officials of the Donghua Empire. After a heated discussion in the palace, many big bosses finally unanimously agreed. This is God's will. Immediately, the Donghua Empire expanded into a new territory outside southern Xinjiang, opened up a new front, killed a certain Taoran tribe, and set up a city wall. Many ferocious aliens woke up and found that their territory had suddenly become a front line, and they had become outsiders. The battle between the two sides also lasted for hundreds of years. Interestingly, the leader of the army on the southern front here is the Lin family. The Chen family is relatively weak here. But today, a figure in black quietly transmigrated to southern Xinjiang, crossed the front line, and directly stepped into the confusing frontline battlefield, looking for something.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.